Time for the fan favorite segment, the fan zone, where we focus on international football, the fixtures for the weekend and the headlines. Actually, Cole, man who featured for rival teams, both Arsenal and Chelsea Football Club, announced his retirement. And remember, he also prominently featured for England national team, that is Three Lions, and decided to hang his international boots. Following the suits and what others have done, the likes of Patrice Evra, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, John Terry, who are now in managerial. And good to have these three gentlemen to dissect about what has been happening and the fixtures and English Premier League kickoff. Tirus, big man, the last time I saw you was in AFCON. Where have you been?
Africa Cup of Nations. I've been pretty much around. I'm glad you have me over today. It feels good to be back, see some familiar faces, and get ready to rumble. I'm looking forward to this session.
Definitely. Xavier, how are you, man?
I'm fine.
You good?
I'm good. Thanks for having me for the show. And as a Manchester United, we started well. I believe we are going to be on the top 4.
How comes you are not putting on Man United jersey?
These things come expensive when the season starts, so we are hoping.
No, sorry, Robert is also still with here. Of course, fading out there, the highlights for Wolves against United, Monday Night Football, and it was 1-1. Paul Pogba missing a penalty in the first place. Did he deserve taking it?
No, I don't think he deserved taking it because I think the first choice penalty taker is Rashford, and he had a penalty the week before. He scored from the penalty spot, so he should have been the one as a striker to actually take the penalty. Although it's good to have a variety of players who can take penalties, Rashford should have taken that penalty. That doesn't mean that he would have scored, but I think he would have been in better stead to do so. However, there's an argument that the person who wins the penalty is best equipped to take the penalty. But that argument is normally with strikers. If the striker wins the penalty, then the striker should take the penalty. Pogba is a defensive midfielder, although he has a free role to rove around.
But you guys are forgetting that Pogba was taking a penalty against Portugal's keeper number 1.
Rui Patricio.
Yeah, European goalkeeper. So it is Pogba, yes, but who else are you taking the penalty against? It's not any other kind of goalkeeper. The goalkeeper won the league with Monaco.
But I think there was a bit of deja vu there because was that really a penalty? If you ask me, I don't think it was a penalty. Pogba ran into the fella and then threw himself to the ground. So the fact that he did not score from the penalty spot served him some sense of poetic justice.
No, but you see, also these players, since the VR came, they're also able to manipulate the VR. So they put their leg in front of the defender so that he went down, and he knows when the VR is being checked, it's a knock. So that's I think the penalty was well deserved. But my only issue is I think it's a Manchester United penalty. It's not a Pogba's penalty. So the right person who has been given the mandate to take the penalty should take the penalty.
During Sir Alex Ferguson era, he stamped authority and he was autonomous in terms of who takes the penalty. Most of the times I was seeing Wayne Rooney takes the penalty, regardless of who caused that penalty to be taken. Do you think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should follow the same, emulate on his former manager and say
yes,
be bold and give a decision that Marcus Rashford, you are our official penalty taker?
Should, at that level, it's something that should have been organized beforehand. So Max is hosting the show, and Max will introduce the person that's next to him first, and then that way and that way and that way. But he's also free to start that other way and introduce, as in Max is calling the shots.
And you can see also
the same way I called the shots during AFCON.
You can even check the Manchester City game. Sterling was on a brace, but Aguero was the one who took the penalty because it's the first penalty taker. So
circumstances, maybe you seek to go home with a hat-trick. You've already scored a brace. Even if you haven't been involved, you will be given that penalty so that
but
you see.
But having said that, and the result ended 1-1, fine, Drogba did not score from the penalty spot, Manchester United still had various chances to score from in open play and win that game. They did not. So, yes, maybe it comes down to that penalty, but then again you have to say, no, they had so many other open chances that they did not execute. And yes, Wolves often gives them a hard time, but still they had many chances. They could have won that game. The penalty should not be the biggest. It shouldn't be the elephant in the room, as it were.
You must have watched Wolverhampton Wanderers against Torino, an Italian side, during Europa League qualification, and they were exceptional. 3-2, 5-goal thriller. And this team called Wolves, are they on course for top 4 finish in English Premier League under Nuno Espirito?
I think top 4 is a big leap for them, considering the teams that are fighting and usually stay in the top 4. I think this time round, from I think the 2 seasons ago, it's all about the top 6 and where you are going to finish in the top 6. And Wolverhampton Wanderers have proved that they have that chance and they have the mentality and the mental strength to get on to the top 6. Actually, they finished just behind Manchester United in number 7, and they went on to the Europa League. First, you have to recommend the way they play their football. If you look at Wolverhampton Wanderers, they play the same exact way as Atletico Madrid. They don't care about possession. They frustrate you hands-on. And if you don't score when you have the chances to score, when they get their chances, they are going to use them very well. Manchester, I think this is the 4th game they have played Wolves so far, and this is the only point they have gained from Wolves. They were knocked out of the FA, the quarterfinals. They lost back-to-back last season. And this time round, it was not Manchester which was the better side. It was Manchester fighting a better team, and that was Wolverhampton Wanderers. Their journey in Europa League has already started, the win with the Torino, the way they won it 3-2 in the playoffs. Now, coming back home, the moment they win, they will get into the Europa League. That tight fixture is now when we start testing the strength of Wolverhampton Wanderers, because at the domestic level, they were only playing the FA Cup, which takes a bit of 3 to 1 month for another round to be played. So you have a whole week to prepare for a Premier League fixture. But in the Europa League, if they go on to progress to the latter stages of the league, then now we can see the strength of Nuno Espirito and the players he has at Wolves.
Last weekend, but when English Premier League was kicking off, we analysed about the teams that had done well during transfers, and Everton came out as the team that was actively involved in acquisition of new players. But last night, 2-0 thumping against Aston Villa, the newcomers, the team that has been promoted in EPL from the Championship. Of course, they were in the Premier League before, but now they are back. What happens to the so-called, heavyweights and favourites? Because Everton, after buying the likes of Moise Kean, they were tipped to shine and probably finish in top 6.
Yeah,
bad start.
We can
for Marco
say,
Silva.
For in the transfers, buying players, a lot of players doesn't guarantee you success. But at the same time, I think we can give Everton that break, since all these players came when the transfer was going to end. So they've not gelled well enough. They never played together in the preseason. So when it looked like Moses Kean came on the last end, Iwobi came on the last time. So they've not got that time. And then the gap when Idris Gueye left, I think it's a big gap. That they're also trying Schneiderlin in the midfield. So I think with time,
they also have other plenty midfield options: Andre Gomez, Morgan Schneiderlin, alongside Fabian Delph.
But at the same time, Aston Villa are good at home. They've been scoring a lot of goals from the Championship right to the Premier League. Now they've started well. So I believe they were playing a very good side. But the coach now for Everton has to work on his substitutes, because he's really making the wrong substitute at the wrong time. He's bringing good players when 10 minutes to time is remaining. So if he can make the right substitute at the right time, I think he can get points moving forward.
Tirus, I know this particular evening, national census kicks off. It's a 1-week constitutional requirement that every Kenyan has to be involved. But away from that, there is I don't know, it's called what? I'm looking for a relevant and appropriate word. But Dr. Fred Matiang'i announced that, all entertainment joints will be closed. But Arsenal and Man City will be happening at that time, that is 7:30. Liverpool, will be happening during that time when the census just kicks off. Where will you be watching it from? And
I wouldn't be watching it at all because of the census. And I don't mind, because it's a one-off. The census happens once in 10 years. And my I'm looking for it to be counted, so I'll miss out on that one. It's a pity. I was looking forward to it. In fact, last weekend I was out watching it, and I knew I'd be back out watching it this weekend. Then it hit me at some point. This is the census weekend, and then Honorable Fred Matiang'i made that announcement. So, like so many other Kenyans, so many other Kenyans, dozens of us actually, were affected, but I urge everyone to just take it in the chin, take it in stride, be at home, be counted, and then when the exercise is over, we can go back to our normal joints and heckle.
Just before I came, I confirmed with the bar around just to ask them, are you airing the match? And they said they'll be airing the match. So I think I'll be watching the match.
So you'll break the rules?
I'll be breaking the rules apparently, because that's a very big match according to me. And I don't think Matiang'i is able to police everyone everywhere. So he'll be watching the match.
So Robert, Arsenal started very well. Of course, after acquiring several players, you know, Ceballos, who is on loan from Real Madrid, is pretty doing very well at the middle of Arsenal. And tonight they are facing a Liverpool side that has won UEFA Champions League and is bragging of, you know, sparkling departments in all spheres. Their forward line is superb. Defense, Van Dijk, who is on course to win World Player of the Year award, and even their midfield led by Fabinho and Jordan Henderson, the captain. What are the permutations?
I think it's the time Arsenal tests itself against the King of Europe, and the King of Europe at the moment is Liverpool. You've won the Champions League, you come and won the Super Cup, you left the league at the number 2 position last time. This time you have already started with a 2 win already. So for Arsenal, you have got new players, you have got a target that you want to meet, but you have got to test yourself against a Liverpool side that is formidable, because they are chasing something and they know that they are the force to reckon with in the Premier League. So for Arsenal, it is their time to go ahead and prove themselves. Can these new players come ahead and play the best way possible that they can go ahead and play? That is going to be tricky for them, considering that Liverpool right now, past playing football at the field of play, their mental strength is very good, their confidence is very good, and the thing that they waited for the most was a trophy, and this time around they have a trophy. That is a very dangerous team to play against.
Do you agree with these sentiments about tonight's game?
The Liverpool is a dangerous team to play against?
Yes.
Well, they have to turn up. Last weekend against Southampton, they didn't really show up. Only Van Dijk was up to the standard, and maybe the goalkeeper. That Mane goal that he scored,
the goalkeeper was awful. Adrian replacing
Alisson.
Alisson.
You see
who
what
is their
happens.
regular custodian.
You see what happens when the bulk of the team is asleep. It reflects on the goalkeeper a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So he was overwhelmed, and most of the players were dead asleep. They were sleepwalking or sleep running. Mo Salah was dead asleep, although people were thinking Southampton have managed to contain him. He hadn't put in any effort that you can say he had been contained, really. And that Mane goal that he scored, it was a beautiful goal. I wouldn't take anything out of it. But it just shows you what a world-class player can do. You don't have to shine throughout the 90 minutes to bring out something of that sort. Just one chance like that and you put in something spectacular. But you start thinking, had he put in the effort through the 90 minutes, there was probably a hat-trick in there for him. Look at what Pukki did for Norwich last weekend against Newcastle United. He turned up, he came in and gave it his best. And by the time the 90 minutes were over, he went home with the ball because he banged in a hat-trick. Now Mane scored a beautiful goal with 0 effort. Imagine if he'd put in the effort. So they've got to turn up. Liverpool must turn up against Arsenal. And then Arsenal, on the other hand, must start with the squad that they finished with their game against Burnley. This thing of bringing Pepe in the second half. Pepe is not a second half player. He's not Origi who comes in and turns the game around. Pepe needs time, and he's new to the Premier League. So he should start from the get-go. And they should give Liverpool a good run for their money. What I'm worried about for Arsenal is the set-piece situation. Can they handle Liverpool corner kicks? Because once you have Van Dijk in the box, he's tall, he's powerful, and he's very domineering and skilled. maybe Socrates shall be the guy to man him in those such areas. But Liverpool have the upper hand against Arsenal.
Talking about that, of course, I was watching Sky Sports a few days ago with Matthew Upson and Julian Lescott, both former English defenders, and they were worried about Liverpool's attack against Arsenal's defense. That, of course, has David Luiz, who is from Chelsea, who signed with Arsenal for £8 million. How well can Arsenal defense manage the marauding attacking trio of Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, and Roberto Firmino?
I believe Emery made a good signing by signing Luiz, despite all the Chelsea fans saying that he was a flop at Chelsea. It was a plus for Arsenal, and I think he's bringing the experience to guide Socrates, or the person who will be playing beside him at the defense level. But also on the flip side, Liverpool's strong point last season was Van Dijk and Alisson, and they are missing Alisson, and that's the weak link. That's why Liverpool, since the season started, they've been conceding goals, and I believe they'll concede also today because of the good attack Arsenal has. So apart from the front three, also Liverpool have a weak link, but my worries on the Arsenal side is that Liverpool have a very good depth. Chamberlain is back, Lallana is back, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, they are all back. So Liverpool have a very good depth, and I'm worried about the Arsenal players if they are able to accommodate the depth that Liverpool has. And also, Klopp has good substitutes. Klopp always makes good substitutes. The game can be 0-0 or 1-1 when Origi comes in, Chamberlain comes in. The pace they bring in the game turns around the whole match.
I think for Arsenal, if they want to do something with Liverpool, then do it very well, is to get Firmino out of the game. Firmino is the one player who makes the Liverpool system tick.
Very true.
And if you have watched the games where Liverpool have struggled, it is making sure that Firmino is not playing at his best. And if Arsenal can get the likes of Ceballos to make sure that Firmino doesn't play his game, then you have got a chance to go against Liverpool. But don't forget also that Arsenal have got a very good forward line this time round. Lacazette, Aubameyang. Okay. And if they bring Pepe on that side, then stretch Liverpool. Make sure Alexander-Arnold and Robertson don't go forward. Make sure Lacazette or Aubameyang on the right and left with Pepe, make sure those players stick to their defensive lines, because those players are the ones who move, they add numbers to the forward line, they bring in good crosses, and these players manage to score. So if you can do that, then you have got a chance to go against Liverpool.
But Arsenal is coming into this particular game bragging of, their exceptional attacking duo of Lacazette, Alexander alongside Aubameyang. And Jurgen Klopp just quoted saying that we've defended him before but never 100% because of his speed. And that's Aubameyang, has no real weaknesses apart from his fashion style. I don't know, is that sarcastic?
No, it's just true. It's true. Just true.
Yeah, that's banter. But
that's a coach who coached Aubameyang in Borussia Dortmund. So he knows that when it comes to football, that's actually pure credit. He knows that when it comes to football, this guy is really good. He can score goals. And given a chance, he can do all the things.
How threatening is Aubameyang up front against Liverpool? I know he's been threatening, but against Liverpool? Against
Liverpool is... If
and we have to bear in mind that, the partnership between Van Dijk and Gomez has not worked. And probably, I think, the best partnership for Liverpool defense-wise is Van Dijk alongside Matip and not Gomez. So, how threatening is Oba?
Aubameyang is a very good player on one-on-one situations. He's technically gifted and he can spot chances from anywhere on side of the field. He can play on the right, he can play on the left, and he can also come through the center. The thing is, he has got a very good partnership and they see eye to eye with Lacazette. Now, if Lacazette feeds Aubameyang or Aubameyang feeds Lacazette, they are going to score goals. They are run onto that box. They know how to play it very well. And these are players who scored double-digit goals last season. So they have got that chance to do it again. And they can actually test that Liverpool defense. But the battle, as always, will be in the midfield.
Of course, besides that, titanic clash between Liverpool and against Arsenal. The other fixtures of the weekend, especially today, Norwich playing Chelsea. That's an early kickoff fixture. Of course, it already started at 2:30 p.m. just 6 minutes ago. Brighton against Southampton. Man United playing at 6 p.m. against Crystal Palace. At 5 p.m. then Sheffield United against Leicester. Watford will play host to West Ham United while Liverpool visit Arsenal. Let's look at United against Crystal Palace. Another tricky clash. Wilfred Zaha didn't move to Everton as he thought it will turn out. Do you think he will be dangerous against his former employers, United?
I don't see why this should be a tricky clash, because Crystal Palace have a weak point in their manager, Roy Hodgson. He doesn't have fire in the belly.
Is it high time Roy Hodgson can retire from managerial because of his age?
At that level.
And how English Premier League is competitive
at that
with
level.
young managers in charge?
At that level, yes. He should simply do the honorable thing and leave, but he's not in a hurry to. You see, there's a cartel of British white...
I saw your tweet.
Yes, there's a cartel of white British managers in the English Premier League who rotate from one team to the next. So if he leaves Crystal Palace...
Roy Hodgson is one of them?
Yes,
Who
he's Sam Allardyce, Steve Bruce.
But you see, these
Alan
managers,
Badu.
their work is to keep the team to stay in the Premier League. If they can do that, why will you let him go?
You see, there's other managers that can come in and perhaps even do a better job if they're given a chance. How often do you see a black manager being given a chance in England?
It depends on the philosophy of the team.
There's an invisible ceiling for that black managers in England cannot crack.
But at the
You
same
can
time,
imagine
have
someone
black
like-
managers proved in the championship level?
Have they been given a chance to prove themselves?
I've seen
been
black managers in the League
how
One and
many
the
of-
League Two.
How many of them have been given a chance to prove themselves the way this particular group, this privileged class, this is what I'm calling a cartel.
But do
they've
black
been
managers
given-
also
they've been
want to
given
pl-
chance
do-
after chance
do
after
also-
chance.
do they also want-
Yes, like Dwight York. Take Dwight York, for example. Dwight York has never even been invited to an interview. A mere interview. He has applied for job after job after acquiring his coaching badges. He's never been invited to a mere interview. But
Even banditry.
yeah.
Just
No,
a place up
banditry
for-
he's been called, but it's
The job interview.
it's that one-off. It's not. He's not a permanent feature or fixture in banditry. Then look at a guy like Ryan Giggs, who's of mixed heritage. He was even before he had finished playing his with United. He just like almost immediately after he retired, he walked into the job of acting manager at Manchester United. Between Ryan Giggs and Dwight York, who should have coached Manchester United before, or between Ryan Giggs, with all due respect, and Paul Ince, who has captained England, the first black man to ever do so, who should have coached Manchester United before, Paul Ince. But there's an invisible ceiling there that black guys, no matter how much they try, they don't get that chance. Yet at the same time, there's this privileged class of white managers in England who get to walk in and out of a job at the drop of a hat. It's a crisis. It's a serious problem. It's a systemic thing that has been institutionalized. It's a subtle form of racism that is very, very effective.
And talking
It's
about
stronger
racism-
than the racist chants that come from the stands during football.
It's good you've brought up that point of racism. Paul Pogba had, some racial attacks directed against him after missing out, converting the penalty against Wolves. And he spoke, saying that he has got a Bulgarian wife, a Brazilian lawyer, a Spanish agent, and therefore, it doesn't matter where you come from. I don't know, racism, long-term solution. Chelsea Football Club has had that in a rampant manner, and so is United now following suit.
I think we cannot deny it's a big thing that is affecting the football industry, but also kicking it out is a big problem. No matter how hard we try, no matter how hard they come out with these campaigns to do everything to do away with racism, it is something that is very, very hard to get it out of these white people. And most importantly is when Pogba performs well, you don't see it. And I think it's because of the adrenaline and the emotions of the game that these people can get onto that level. Because you are playing in a football match, you lose a penalty, these people have got to be really disgusted to do that. They are not supposed to do it, but the emotions of the game, they do it for them. Look at Abrams, the Chelsea kid also. The moment he lost
He's just
that
scored for
penalty,
Chelsea.
yeah, the moment he lost that penalty also, he was given that and it's coming out of them. And you realize that every time it comes, they usually screen these people and they don't allow them to come in. But at the end of the day, there are others who are still going to come in onto the field of play. The main thing, it's very hard to deal away with it because what Tirus spoke about earlier, it's not the first time that it's coming out. I think it came out with the Black Players Association, with the Sol Campbell, back in the day, also coming up with something like this and bringing out to the fold and talking about it. But you realize that there are countries where we have white supremacists who don't want to allow people to live equally. That is Italy, is one of them. Germany is one of them. England is another one. Russia is a big thing. And every day in and day out, we are going to see these things come out. But I think also the players who are playing on the field of play, now they have got to come up with a serious level of mental strength to go against these people. Because solutions have been brought all the way from FIFA, UEFA, the leagues themselves, but clamping it out has become a problem. So you yourself, so the way Mose Kean behaved in the Juventus Cagliari game, you celebrate in front of them. Also, you go ahead and show them that no matter what you do, we are here to stay.
Or when that banana gets thrown at you, eat it.
Yeah,
and
because
continue with the game.
You see, like for example, even for players, it's hard.
Yeah.
Ian Wright is a fine example. He cracked it into the big league at the age of 22 after being turned down.
But he's an
it's
English.
Steve Coppell who gave him the chance. He's English, born and bred,
Yeah.
but he's black.
Yeah.
And then they said to him, "Oh, Ian Wright, late bloomer. You're a late bloomer. You cracked it at 22." Wayne Rooney was probably not as good as Ian Wright, but he was classified as the white Pele.
Nah.
Are you seeing?
I have to disagree with you.
Maybe
Wayne
he was
Rooney
okay.
was good.
Better than Ian Wright?
I think that's a debate for another day. But
Okay. Let's say they were equally good.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's say they were equally good.
Yes.
There was that thing.
Wayne
of-
Rooney came into limelight at 16. He scored, man.
Last season
And
in
in
Everton.
Euro 2004 in
He-
Greece.
But look, he was given the opportunities earlier. Ian Wright kept on being locked out. No. Are you getting?
Yeah,
Are you
I'm getting your point.
There's this invisible ceiling. You're not good enough. We don't want you. You're not good enough.
But the English
When
media
he
is also
got,
to
when
blame.
Steve Coppell gave him a chance, the guy thrived. He took Crystal Palace to an FA Cup final, and those days FA Cup finals had playoffs. Just a few seasons after joining Crystal Palace, linked up with Mark Bright up front for Crystal, and they took Sir Alex Ferguson's United all the way to a second playoff game for the final. That's when United won it. Ian Wright came off the bench, scored 2 quick goals. But when did you hear him being called the Pele, the new Pele, the new English Pele? No. But
I understand. I understand you because I've seen even punditry on TV, the likes of Gary Neville, who has flopped in his coaching at Valencia, trying to be unfair to non-English players. Like even when Romelu Lukaku left for Inter Milan, he referred to him as overweight. And Marcus Rashford, yes, a Linkard, however much they flop, they're never attacked the same way the likes of Paul Pogba.
I think
even white
finishing
guys
this
who are not
conversation
English
is
experience that thing.
I think-
White guys who are not English experience that thing. My former player, John Guidetti, is usually referred to as a Manchester City flop. Now, was he supposed to come in at that young age and bench Tevez, Aguero, and whoever else?
Let
It's
me finish for you
ridiculous.
this conversation. Racism is like slavery. It's just a world phenomenon that we'll not be able to deal with, no matter how hard we try. It's not only in football, it's all over the world. And even if we try our best to fight it, it's just that we have to first come up to an understanding that it is there and it is there to stay. No matter how hard we fight it, those guys are still going to behave the way they are behaving.
Away from fixtures of the weekend, we're going to speak about something else as we almost wind up. Cristiano Ronaldo spoke of his tribulations with regards to the allegations that he's been facing rape and his tender football, how he's risen from grass to grace. I don't know whether that has been a stale vibe, because everyone, whenever they rise to triumph, to break through, they keep telling us how, you know, where they have come from. But Ronaldo himself, I know you read about him, his tribulations, rape allegations. Has he come from far, as he alleges?
In life, oh yes, he has. They didn't have much, and
They had nothing.
getting football boots, unlike today when you can just get on the internet and look for a bargain. Those days you had to get them off the shop floor and that kind of thing. Even me here growing up in Kenya, I owned my first pair of boots, at the age of 17.
But
Those days you couldn't, what I'm saying in that
stop
world.
laughing at us, because
No.
personally you've been in overseas, man.
No, wait. What I'm saying, that the market of those days, you had to buy stuff off the shop floor. There was nothing like today you go Mtumba, you buy second hand like that. No, it was really, really expensive. And you knew, that one, watch
But
it
at least
stays.
you are lucky to go abroad
But
and get schooled from there.
Watch, Maxwell, look. So Cristiano has come from far. His
Yes.
mom was working odd jobs, at times up to more than one job, just to put food on the table. He's come from far, and he takes his son to the room that he lived in.
I saw.
With a certain
friend.
roommate, and his son turns around and says, "Dad, you used to live here," because the son came along when there was money, big house, lovely cars, fame, and fortune. And the dad says, "Yes, this is where I began. So when I ask you to come out for training and you say you want to be a footballer, you want to play hard, then I really mean it, and I want you to grow up valuing money and hard work."
Also, when you look at Cristiano's history, he got the chance to join academy after scoring a goal from giving a pass from the friend, and the friend valued this.
Yeah, he said you are more capable than I am, and
I am.
therefore you deserve playing
So
in my
he's
place.
come from far, and from the academy to Sporting Lisbon, proving at Portugal, coming to prove at Man United for all those years in the Premier League, going to Madrid, proving at the same time and now proving in Juventus. He's really come from far.
And
He's
he's conquered in European in general. Does he deserve the Ballon d'Or award?
I think he deserves, and looking at Cristiano's age, the position he plays for, I think he deserves.
Van Dijk,
Juventus was eliminated from
And
Champions
when you
League at
see
same
like
slow.
Messi, they play around
But he
Messi.
won the Nations Cup and the
With
European,
Portugal, yes.
and the
And he
European
won
Cup.
but definitely I know, because it's the captain's voting and the coaches, Messi will win it. Van Dijk will finish number 3. That is obvious because of the voting.
But
The
don't you
process
think
of
Mane
voting.
should have been in the short list as well? Because he won the Champions League like Van Dijk, and Van Dijk played in the Nations League final, though he didn't win it. It's also similar to Mane's
Mane, who
case,
got
who
to
played in
the
the Cup of
AFCON
Nations
final.
final, but he didn't win it. Are we looking at another case of subtle racism here? Stop that. Okay, I've removed that bit, but shouldn't he be there as a footballer?
He should be there. He
should be
deserves
there.
having been nominated as well. Let's Ashley Cole announced his retirement from football. What do you remember him for?
Well, good player. I know Ronaldo disturbing on that left side of his when he was at Manchester United, but I think he played very well. His best career at Chelsea, winning I think 13 titles. He won with Chelsea. That was a good one for him. Was one of the key players for the English national team. Played for them, and he has played all the way to the twilight of his career, past actually the twilight of football career. At 37, 38. You have really done your part in football, and I think as he balls out of the game, he can come back in another capacity, because that's a brain you don't want to lose in football.
I know you watched more football than we did. Can we say Ashley Cole is one of the best left backs we've had globally, alongside Paolo Maldini, Philip Lam, Patrice Evra, Roberto Carlos? Can we say so authoritatively?
No.
He's not near close to the best.
He was very dedicated. He worked very, very hard. He was very passionate. He went through a lot of insults in England because you remember he dated Cheryl Cole. He went on to marry her. She was the sweetheart of the UK, especially England. And he played around with her, broke not just her heart, but English hearts. And it caused that hate against him to be raised up to another level. But he weathered the storm and played very, very well. In terms of dedication, he was brilliant for Chelsea and for England to some extent. But he's not at that high level of the best that we've had in the business, although the British media will make you believe that he is, because he's one of their own.
Very true.
But no.
But I think he's the best English left back. Best English left back.
So far, yes, he's the best English.
Best English left back.
There's a guy
The titles,
called...
the assists, the goals, he's the best English left back.
Man, you
No,
have
no,
to
no,
agree.
there was
Ashley Cole is in the class of...
Stuart Pearce. Did Stuart Pearce play left back as well? I think he did, and he was brilliant. I mean, that's debatable.
That's debatable again.
Still, it's not
but,
clear.
but as we speak, Chelsea on the lead with 2 goals so far. The young kids, Mason Mount and Tabby Abraham, doing Frank Lampard very well this particular afternoon against Norwich. Predicaments of Frank Lampard were started piling after 2 consecutive losses. Is he vindicating himself this afternoon?
If I'll want Frank Lampard to stick with Abraham as the main striker. Abraham is able to stretch the defense and use Giroud as your second half substitute to come for the long balls, the corners, to put some input in the game. But also, if Mount can continue playing the way he's playing, is the next...
as long as British media doesn't ruin him by showering him with praises.
British media has to
Why are you guys saying that British media, Those guys are just doing their job.
No, they're not
What do you want them to come?
How comes you are a Kenyan journalist?
They can create a player
Yeah.
for you. who
Man,
is
you
not-
are a Kenyan
What
journalist
do-
and I've never seen you penning articles, praising Alan Wanga, Yese Were,
I've done
the
my
magnitude
better,
British media has
I've
done.
done my better time of writing when it comes to sports, but now I'm in broadcasting. My work is on TV, it's not in print. But
Phil Neville does the same, he's in broadcast.
yeah, but don't say that the British media is doing what they are not supposed to do, or they are overhyping what is not supposed to be happening. They're just doing their job.
But sometimes it works. Sometimes it works because when you look at Rashford was hyped by the media.
You guys are saying that.
Rashford
You
was
guys are
hyped by
saying
the
that.
media.
You guys are saying that. You guys are saying
never
that.
seen the media hyping Rashford.
Let me
You
ask
never
you a
see.
question. Let me ask you a question. Of your top 5 websites of football that you consume, name them. And if you will not tell me that BBC is not one of them and Sky is not one of them.
Sky is definitely one of them.
You see? So your top consumption is British media. You don't
That's
know
how
that?
we
You
know.
see,
That's how we know.
No.
About
It's not about
you see, if we didn't consume...
Realize this. The British media considers you as an alternative audience. They actually don't care about you. But it's you who is ever on their
But
sites,
you're
on the
also
Mirror, the
complaining
Sun.
that they hype players.
Stick to the Daily Nation and learn more about Kenya Premier League then.
I was some time back I was doing a program for radio and I went to BBC to check the results of athletics. So Mo Farah had finished 7th.
Yes.
But that race had been won by a Kenyan. So the title was they have to start with Mo Farah. Then meanwhile
Mo Farah finished 7th. then.
Finished 6th or 7th.
7th around that 6th or 7th.
So the question is, these are British journalists. He's taking an angle of what the British people care about. They care about Mo Farah. They don't care about Kipchoge or Eliud.
But if you are well established, just give us good content. If you are well established. If you're looking for establishment,
Because
like
you
it's
they end up with egg
Yeah.
in the face.
Yeah.
They lose, and then after
Look at
all
this.
that time, they lose credibility as well.
Look
also.
at this. Look at this. These are media houses based in Britain covering British sports. You don't expect them to give Eliud Kipchoge their time, yet is not one of their own.
That's why I said if they are well established.
They are
give us
well
good
established.
content. Then give us good content.
Like if you watched the match of the day analysis of tournaments like Euro Cup 2012, I remember England, Italy. You'd have thought England would have beaten Italy if you just went by the analysis alone in studio, my friend. Then Andrea Pirlo happened. He did magic in that game. He made them look like jokers. And then After the game was over, is when they start complaining about their talent. They say, "Oh, the boys are not putting in."
They can strongly tell you that.
Let me ask you a question. So you're talking of British media overhyping their stars more than any other person, right?
The way they did with Saido Berahino.
No, wait a minute. Now talk about American sports and American TV compared to the other part of the world.
I know they called.
NFL deserves that magnitude. American
I'm
press
just
gives
asking
them.
an
I know
open question.
they called my former player John Guidetti the worst sportsman in the world, and they featured that in the whole of the United States of America. What had John done? John had done an interview, and he said, "Look, before this game, the Danes were talking so much. You'd have thought they'll reflect that talking on the pitch and they'll beat us the way they were talking, but we chose to be gentlemen, to keep quiet, come in as underdogs. We love being underdogs. We came in here and we bet them proper." I think they gave them 4-1. So let them go home in peace.
But
We have shown them what
sometimes
we are worth.
the media-
And then they call him the worst sportsman in the world for that.
No,
You
I've
see,
asked
the
a
people, the media destroyed like Manchester United when it comes to transfers. They hype players, we go for those players, they become flops.
Now look at this.
Let's wind up, gentlemen. Time is not on our side. Of course, that has been the fun zone. By the virtue of my authority and command on this particular show, you know I'm the main man here. So I'm cutting you short and we have to end it on that particular note. Let's do it next time, same Saturday, same time, same place, touchline 1 to 3. And of course, Tirus Waiyaki, thanks for coming through.
You're most welcome.
Xavier as well, and
Thank you,
Robert
thank you.
Osoro Maebo, co-host. We will be again on this particular platform next Saturday. Same time, same place. Don't go away, stay tuned, and thanks for our super crew for doing an amazing job. Cheers, and have a fantastic weekend. Keep it sporty, but get counted as well.
This man is looking.